Hello, Federated family. This is Pastor Rick coming to you live from the sanctuary here Thursday afternoon at about 1:05. Hope you are trusting in the Lord as we talked about Sunday, and you're finding plenty of gospel opportunities to be salt and light in the midst of all we're going through right now. I mainly am coming to you right now. It's kind of an unusual time, but I want to give you one important announcement. Between Steve and I, who's sitting over here next to me, you might see him, we're trying to figure out if some of this technology is going to work just right on Sunday. So this is kind of a little bit of a dry run to see if everything's going to work right on Sunday morning. Most of you know the kind of situation we're in, and so this will be no surprise to you. But this Sunday, we're going to gather at 10 a.m. And by that, I hope you will do that. You will gather at that time in your homes or in somebody else's home, so that we can have that feel like we are going to worship together. But we're going to gather at 10 a.m. to worship via the YouTube experience. I'm going to be here on this stage, and all the other pastors, plus a small team to lead you in a worship service, a live stream broadcast starting at 10 o'clock on Sunday morning. This service is going to be a little different. We decided to change things just a little bit with this opportunity. We'll still have a couple songs of worship that we can sing together and worship together with our families, or if you happen to invite some of your extended family over or some spiritual family members of your church, you might want to gather together, eat breakfast at 9, and be ready to worship together at 10. So we'll sing a couple songs together. Ron and Denise, our children's ministers, they're going to be leading a children's story as well. So that'll be something a little different for your children, a short version of what we're going to be learning from Luke chapter 8. We're going to have a great update from the Marshall family, who are ministering in Ukraine right now and who have been through a lot of what we are going through. They're on the other end of this, but they're going to give us a great update of how God is at work there in Ukraine. So Randy and Shelley will give us that video update, so we want you to see that as well. And then I'm going to lead in the story from Luke chapter 8, because we're going to just keep going through Luke. In Luke chapter 8, we have this story of the parable of the sower, or maybe more appropriately, the parable of the soil. So read that from Luke chapter 8, verses 1 through 15. The neat thing is there's going to be other pastors here, not only Steve, but Pastor Ed and Pastor Josh. We're going to have kind of a round table here. So after I give a little explanation of the parable, a little application from the parable and the main message, I'm going to ask my fellow colleagues here also to just give some of their insight about that passage as well. And all the while we're talking about that passage and teaching from it, this is a cool thing, we think. You're going to be able to stream in questions. Is that right, Steve? Is this working?
It is working. It is working currently. So if you have questions as we open that discussion up on Sunday, we'll be able to go through the questions. And I can't guarantee we'll answer every question we get, but we'll do our best that if during the time as we're going through discussing the passage of the soils, we'll try to get your questions answered by our esteemed panel of scholars and wise men.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you, Steve. So we look forward to that. That'll be a little different venue for us, but we have quite a few other messages to pass along the way, but I don't want to use up this time for that right now. So keep an eye on our Facebook page, especially our web page as well. And then some of you who are members will be sending out some emails and phone calls. But we have quite a few other messages to communicate, but we won't do that in this venue. But we want to encourage you to join us Sunday morning at 10 o'clock. And to remember what we talked about even last Sunday from Psalm 91, that we should be, at this time in our life, resting in the shadow of the Almighty, because God is our refuge. He is our fortress. He is our God in whom we trust. So let's join together. Hope to see you this Sunday on the internet at 10 a.m. Thanks for listening. See you then.